indictment.
The language jumping out at me is 4-year scheme.
Campus shooting investigation.
Suspect had a list of people he was seeking.
Christmas parade crash.
He just slammed on the gas, hit the gas full on.
Good morning. I'm Steve Kathan with the CBS World News Roundup. President Biden's son Hunter indicted in California on 9 counts related to his taxes. 3 are felonies. This comes months after a deal to end his legal troubles fell apart. Legal analyst Jessica Levinson says he's accused of avoiding payment of more than $1 million to the IRS.
Prosecutors here have alleged that Hunter Biden engaged in a 4-year scheme intended to evade paying his taxes. The indictment includes 9 counts and the possibility of serving 17 years in federal prison.
Former federal prosecutor Lori Levinson says the charges detail an extravagant lifestyle.
This indictment really goes into intricate detail of how Hunter Biden operated and his lifestyle and his use of drugs and how he used other people that he had business contacts with.
Hunter Biden's lawyer says if his last name were other than Biden, this case would not have been brought. Now to Las Vegas, CBS's Omar Villafranca on the latest information emerging after the campus shooting that left 3 people dead, and about the late gunman, Anthony Polito.
Officials say when Polito first arrived on the campus Wednesday morning, he was carrying a handgun, over 150 rounds of ammunition, and a list of targets. UNLV Assistant Professor of Accounting Truman Rowley was on the same floor where the shootings occurred.
I heard 5 loud bangs.
He missed being in the same area as the gunman by mere seconds, with an office just across the hall from one of the victims, Associate Professor of Accounting Patricia Navarro-Velez.
She was nothing but warm and welcoming. She truly cared about her students.
Investigators believe Polito was struggling financially. A search of his home showed an eviction notice as well as a last testament.
There's been no let-up in the pressure on 3 university presidents over anti-Semitism on campus and their handling of questions from Congress. CBS's Scott MacFarlane says a House committee plans to dig deeper.
New York Republican Elise Stefanik, who led the questioning,
Calling for the genocide of Jews violates Harvard's code of conduct, correct?
It depends on the context.
It does not depend on the context. The answer is yes.
has called on the university leaders to resign. Last night, the second gentleman, Doug Emhoff, weighed in at the National Menorah Lighting.
We've seen the presidents of some of our most elite universities literally unable to denounce calling for the genocide of Jews as anti-Semitic. That lack of moral clarity is simply unacceptable.
The testimony also led Rabbi David Wolpe to step down from an anti-Semitism advisory committee at Harvard.
We were craving leadership and clarity and directness.
Now overseas, correspondent Ramy Inocencio has the latest on Israel's military offensive in southern Gaza.
At Nasser Hospital, the biggest in the south, this girl screamed, my brother, as casualties increased. Israel's military said it targeted Hamas militants emerging from a tunnel in the area, and Israeli media show the army had detained some 150 Palestinians, men stripped down to their underwear and blindfolded, claimed to be suspected terrorists. In Israel, on the first night of Hanukkah, families of hostages lit a menorah in Tel Aviv with 138 branches, each representing a hostage still in captivity.
The government says employers added 199,000 jobs last month, and the unemployment rate fell to 3.7%. Today, the FDA is expected to approve the first gene-editing treatment to repair the gene that causes sickle cell disease, the painful condition that can shorten lifespan and affects mostly people of color. Johnny Lubin was a patient in the clinical trial.
I thought that was pretty cool. I have new cells, and I honestly hoped, I could get, some superpowers from, like genetically engineered.
Doctors say the process reprograms cells to create fetal hemoglobin, which is more protective, and sufferers have less severe symptoms. 4 minutes after the hour.
Well, that's today's news. I didn't hear any good news, did you? I didn't think so. I guess it's all about perspective. The glass is half full. Well, as always, I'd like to thank you again for coming along with me on these Dash Cam News adventures. You know the drill.